The MOBO Awards was established in 1996 and it's basically the MOBO Organisation's flagship event, and it's grown to be a huge international media platform. I mean, the event is now distributed to an audience of over 250 million people, and I think we spent over a decade building a real strong branding policy that ultimately leads us to facilitate expansion into other related business areas. So that's been our kind of prime goal and vision. Our first event we organised, when I think back, we organised it in only 6 weeks, and it was I suppose it was interesting the way things started, because I happened to bump into someone from LWT who I helped him out at an Arsenal home game, and he said, look, you know, when I told him about my idea, he said, look, send me in a proposal and I'll make sure it goes to my next in command and they'll send it on to their second in command and you'll get a meeting. And I went to see them and they said, unfortunately, you know, when I presented them with a 5-year plan and I'd already had the launch and generated lots of publicity, they said, this is absolutely fantastic, but we've commissioned something already very similar. However, they said, you know, good luck with your plans. And they were obviously impressed at the time because they mentioned it to Carlton Television, who called us in, and we had a meeting with them. We even contacted, you know, the Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition, which was Tony Blair at the time, because we wanted him to launch, you know, our first event. And of course, you know, when we first contacted them, they said, no, it's short notice, it's not going to work. So we said, well, do you mind if we keep you in touch with, obviously, you know, how things progress? Because, of course, we know how the diary schedules change all the time, and if there becomes an opening, he may wish to be in attendance, and they were happy for us to do that. So we then, every time we got good news, we'd feed it back to them, and eventually they said, look, I don't want to give you too much hope, but there is a possibility that the PM, or I should say, he wasn't PM at the time, but, you know, Tony Blair would be able to, you know, attend for about an hour. And then finally it was like, okay, you know, he is going to come. And that was a, you know, that was a major breakthrough for us. In the beginning, we were responding to every request and getting involved with and trying to support so many individuals. And that started to have an impact on the business. And there came a time when we felt, right, okay, you know, this is jeopardizing what we, in terms of the growth of the business now, you know, we need to become very commercial instead of being philanthropic, which of course we were a social enterprise and we wanted to help everyone. But we realised if you wanted to be sustainable, you need to have very clear goals and objectives and stick with our business plan instead of getting involved with everybody who approached us. And I think that was one of the first lessons we learned early on, to be focused, you know, and make that our key objective, and also to work, you know, on the business instead of in the business, which is very easy to do. You know, I had to sort of take myself away and sort of think, right, okay, you know, what are our next goals? What do we need to achieve? Rather than needing to get involved in a whole diversity of roles. You know, it was important for me to recognise what's my strengths and weaknesses and try and compensate for my weaknesses rather than, you know, trying to do everything from dealing with accounts to, you know, whether it's sales and marketing to insurance and all those other elements in running a business. I mean, when I started my business, I didn't have anybody I felt I could talk to go for advice. I didn't know anyone who'd set up their own business or established a business. We didn't have any lawyers or accountants in the family or anybody. You know, my mother knew that she could put me in touch with. So it was very much kind of, you know, learning as I went along. And I think it's fantastic that there are organisations like Smarter out there. Obviously, I can't wait for it to be launched. Because I think it's brilliant. You know, there's so, you know, I think when you're working in a business, you want to be able to talk to sometimes like-minded people and kind of share experiences. And I think you'll find that sometimes people will want to do it anonymously, and other times it's just kind of great to share with a group. And if you have specific problems, there'll always be problems that somebody else has encountered. And it's great for them to give you their point of view as opposed to always someone in your organisation. it's got to make sense for what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to do, and it's got to be like mutual benefit. I mean, obviously, you know, I think nowadays choosing a partner, lots of partners can bring more than cash to a business because they have their own activities and you know, activities and things that they do themselves, and I think we try to kind of tap into that too. And that's worked very well for us. And I think Western Union is, I'll give you an example there. I mean, they contacted us and said, right, what we'd love to do is have, you know, we'd love to build a microsite and give some unknown talent the opportunity to perform prior to the show starts. And we thought, right, okay, you know, let's run with this. And they ended up building a microsite, and they partnered with MySpace, and they got 40 million impressions, huge feedback. And it was all about the inextricable link between your heritage and music. And we helped them to find the judges, and it was a huge success for them. And they've kind of continued that since. So, you know, we try and kind of work with them to come up with ideas of that, to kind of engage our audience, that adds, I suppose, an additional dimension to the show. In doing international events, because I think we're working with local partners who understand, I suppose they understand the local community very well. So we're not just putting a British show on in, you know, a different in, you know, outside of Britain. We, you know, whenever, like for example, when we done our Holland event, our partner was BNN, which was a Dutch broadcaster. So they very much kind of understood the kind of wants and desires of their audience. So we ensured that we had, you know, obviously Dutch local artists as well as international artists who, you know, the audience very much wanted to see. So that's tended to work, you know, I suppose it's tended to work quite smoothly in that way. I think it's important if you're looking to put on shows in, you know, wherever you are, you know, put on shows in different, you know, continents in the world, then it's important you have local partners who know what they're doing and understand the music and obviously the different cultures, because obviously that will have an impact, you know, that will obviously have an impact on the events. And we definitely engage with local media partners as well as obviously international ones. We have many exciting expansion plans. I mean, some of the things I should talk about that we are looking to do, we're expanding into MOBO books and MOBO annuals. So we've, you know, signed up a literary agent and we're talking to publishers, and we've got some, you know, great concept for MOBO books. That's one of the things we're doing. We're also, for the first time ever, we'll be going outside London in terms of hosting our events. And we'll be putting on, you know, other shows as well, other concerts. So that's really important to us. And of course, you know, I suppose you know, we're also expanding our kind of online plans. And because we get, you know, we have huge kind of interaction with our audience, and they're very good at telling us what we should be doing. And so, you know, it's important to get that kind of feedback, and we don't feel like we need to do lots and lots of research because we're very much in tune with very much a lot of what our audience wants. And so I suppose we instinctively know where we should kind of extend the brand, and obviously our whole digital platform is an important part for us. And another thing we're doing is, you know, we're looking to we'll be working with many partners on our whole, you know, encouraging people to kind of network and share advice and, you know, in a business thing. So obviously Smart is an obvious partner there for us. And, you know, we've worked with people like Business Link before and the RDAs.